All right, everyone get ready because today we are going deep. Diving deep into how Israel went from, those Jaffa oranges to a global tech powerhouse.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Startup nation.
All right.
And I think their story is a little more interesting.
Way more.
Than a crate of citrus?
Absolutely. It really is. What I think is so fascinating is that this wasn't some sort of happy accident or anything like that. This was a carefully crafted plan, and it was driven by government policies.
And that's what we're looking at today, right? We're going into this chapter from the Handbook of International Business Policy. And it's going to break down exactly how they did it.
Exactly. It's like a blueprint for convincing a nation of innovators.
Okay, so let's all picture this for a second.
Yeah.
It's the 1950s. Israel's a young country. They're relying mostly on agriculture.
Right.
Can you imagine? From oranges to algorithms.
It's crazy. It's mind-blowing when you think about it.
What a journey. So to really grasp this, like you said, we have to rewind back to 1987.
Yeah, 1987.
There's this report. Export-led growth strategy for Israel.
It was like a wake-up call.
Right.
Economists were like, hey, relying on foreign aid and low-tech industries isn't going to cut it.
So they knew they had to make a change, but hold on.
Yeah.
Israel's a pretty small country.
Right.
How do you just become a tech giant?
Yeah, but they recognized their strength.
Out of nowhere.
They had brain power. They said, we might be small, but we're smart.
Right.
Let's leverage our knowledge and become a global force in tech.
Okay, I'm starting to see the vision here. So what did this grand plan involve?
Well, this report basically set the stage for everything.
Okay.
One of the key goals was to completely change the relationship between the government and businesses.
Interesting.
Not just tweaking things, but a total overhaul. They needed to foster this environment of collaboration and innovation.
It sounds like they were building an ecosystem, right?
Exactly.
Like a tech jungle where startups could flourish.
Exactly. And get this, they were super strategic about it.
Okay.
We're talking about creating an entire system to support tech entrepreneurship.
Interesting.
From funding to connecting with global markets.
So let's break it down. Let's talk about those big picture, macro level moves. This is where they laid the groundwork.
Absolutely. First, they realized that startups need cash.
Right.
That's where venture capital or VC comes in.
Yeah.
But in the early 90s, Israel's VC scene was pretty much non-existent.
So how did they get the ball rolling? Did they just hand out money?
Not
to anyone with a laptop and a dream?
They came up with this brilliant program called Yozma.
Okay.
Think of it like this. The government basically said, we'll put some skin in the game, but we need you, the private sector, to come in and make this a party.
Okay.
They incentivized private VC funds, attracting foreign investors, and boom, Israel became a global hub for startup funding.
That's clever. So they didn't just throw money at the problem.
No.
They created a system that would attract investment and grow organically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
They also had the Chief Scientist Office, which is now the Israel Innovation Authority. They poured resources into civilian research and development, backing all these innovative projects.
Sounds like they were putting their money where their mouth was.
Yeah.
But funding's only part of the equation.
You got it.
You need more than just cash to build a startup nation.
And that's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
They knew that Israeli startups had to think globally from day one.
Okay.
You've got to remember, their domestic market is pretty small.
Makes sense.
Sure.
So how do they help these startups break into the international scene?
They created the Israel Export Institute.
Okay.
Basically, this institute acts like a matchmaker.
Yeah.
Connecting startups with potential customers and partners all over the world.
Right.
They help them navigate the complexities of doing business internationally.
So they were providing a roadmap.
Yeah.
Showing them how to reach a global audience. Smart move. And hold on, didn't they also get big companies?
You catching on?
Like IBM and Intel involved?
They actually incentivized multinational corporations to set up their research and development centers in Israel.
Wait, so they brought the giants to the startup nation.
Think of it as a knowledge exchange.
What was the thinking there?
You get these big companies with tons of resources and expertise setting up shop. And that creates this ripple effect. We call it technology spillover.
Yeah.
And it fueled the whole ecosystem.
Okay, so it's like They were building this self-sustaining cycle of innovation.
Yeah.
Attract investment, nurture startups.
Yeah.
Bring in the big players, and let the magic happen.
That's a great way to put it.
Starting to feel like a well-oiled machine here.
They were playing the long game, investing in a system that would pay off big time. But they didn't stop there.
Oh, right.
They also got really creative when it came to supporting startups more directly.
All right, spill the beans.
Okay.
What kind of creative support are we talking about?
All right.
This is where it gets really interesting,
right?
Yeah,
it does get interesting.
Yeah.
So imagine this. The Soviet Union collapses, and Israel suddenly has this huge influx of highly skilled immigrants. Talk about a challenge.
Whoa, that's a lot of brain power to integrate all at once. What did they do? Set up a giant coding boot camp?
Well, not exactly a boot camp, but they did create this incredible network of 28 technological incubators.
Incubators, so like a safe space for startups to hatch and grow.
Exactly. They provided funding, mentorship, and resources, especially for those immigrants who were brilliant scientists and engineers, but maybe didn't have a ton of business experience.
That's amazing. They saw this wave of talent, and instead of being overwhelmed, they built a system to help them thrive.
It's a perfect example of how they turned a potential challenge into a massive opportunity. But remember how we talked about Israeli startups needing to think globally?
Yeah.
Well, there's another factor that played into that.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's the secret sauce here?
The reality is many Israeli startups are designed to be acquired quickly by larger international companies.
Oh, interesting.
They focus on these niche markets,
okay,
scale fast, and then boom, they get acquired.
So they're not necessarily aiming to build these giant, long-lasting corporations.
Not always. It's more about rapid innovation and then using that success to fuel the next venture. We call it serial entrepreneurship, and it's a key part of their startup culture.
So it's like a constant cycle of innovation and reinvention. You build something amazing, sell it, and then use that knowledge and capital to start something new. That's wild.
It's a really dynamic system. And you know what else is interesting? Even the Israeli military plays a role in this whole ecosystem.
Hold on, the military. I thought we were talking about tech startups, not soldiers.
No. Hear me out. Military service is mandatory in Israel, and a lot of young people end up serving in these elite tech units.
Okay.
They're exposed to cutting-edge technology, develop leadership skills, and build incredible networks.
So you're telling me that serving in the Army could actually help you launch a tech career?
It's not a direct pipeline, but it definitely contributes to the pool of skilled tech talent in Israel. It's this unique aspect of their culture that you don't really see anywhere else.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's like a tech boot camp built into their national service.
But they didn't just rely on the military for talent, right? What about education?
You're right. They didn't stop there. Israel has invested heavily in higher education.
Yeah.
And a significant chunk of their graduates are in STEM fields.
Okay.
It's like they've created this pipeline of highly skilled tech workers.
So they've got the talent pool, the funding, the global connections. But there's one piece missing, right?
Likely.
The culture.
You can have all the ingredients, but if the culture doesn't support risk-taking and innovation...
Right. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
And that's another area where Israel really shines.
Okay, paint me a picture. What does this culture of innovation look like?
Just imagine this. Entrepreneurs are celebrated in the media. There are tons of educational programs that encourage entrepreneurship, and risk-taking is seen as a badge of honor. It's almost like being a tech entrepreneur is the coolest job you could have.
So it's not just about policies and programs. They've created an environment where people are actually excited about starting businesses and pushing the boundaries.
Precisely. They've fostered this belief that anyone can be an innovator, and that failure is just a stepping stone to success. That's a powerful message.
It really is. But I'm curious, has everyone benefited from this startup nation phenomenon?
Yeah.
Have there been any downsides to this hyper-focus on tech?
That's a great question, and it's something the chapter authors address head-on.
Okay.
While Israel's tech sector has definitely been a major economic engine, the benefits haven't been distributed as evenly as they could be.
So there's a shadow side to this startup nation success story.
In a way, yes. While the high-tech sector is booming, there's a concern that a significant portion of the population hasn't seen the same level of prosperity. It's created a bit of an economic divide.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Not everyone is cut out to be a tech entrepreneur, and focusing solely on startups might leave other industries behind.
You're getting it. And this is where the whole debate about startup nation versus scale-up nation comes in.
Okay, break that down for me. What's the difference between a startup nation and a scale-up nation?
Think of it this way. Startup Nation is all about fostering new businesses,
Right.
getting them off the ground. Scale Up Nation is about taking those successful startups and helping them grow into larger companies that create more diverse job opportunities.
So it's about balancing the dynamism of startups with the stability and job creation of larger corporations.
Exactly. It's about ensuring that the economic benefits of innovation reach a wider swath of society. And that might involve attracting those big multinational corporations we talked about earlier.
Right. The ones that can provide a wider range of employment options.
So it's a balancing act. You need the excitement and innovation of startups, but you also need the stability and inclusiveness of larger companies.
That's the key. It's about creating a more holistic approach to economic development, one that leverages the strengths of both startups and scale-ups.
It sounds like Israel is at a crossroads. They've achieved incredible success with their Startup Nation model.
Yeah.
But now they're facing the challenge of making sure that success benefits everyone.
It's a challenge a lot of countries are facing, actually. How do you harness the power of innovation while ensuring that it leads to broad-based prosperity?
Right.
There's no easy answer, but Israel's experience offers valuable lessons for anyone grappling with this question.
It's a reminder that even the most successful policies can have unintended consequences.
Yeah.
And that we need to be constantly evaluating and adapting our approach. Absolutely. There's always room for improvement, and it's important to be open to new ideas and approaches. But overall, Israel's transformation into Startup Nation is an incredible story of ingenuity and strategic policymaking.
It's inspiring to see how they took this bold vision and turned it into reality. It makes you wonder, what else are they capable of?
Right. What's the next chapter in the Startup Nation story? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, and it really makes you think what they'll do next, right? Like, they've cracked the code
for
innovation.
You know, it's funny you should say crack the code, because that brings up something really important from this chapter. And it's not saying that other countries should just copy and paste what Israel did.
Of course. Of course. Every country's different.
Yeah.
What worked for Israel might not work somewhere else.
Exactly. But that doesn't mean there aren't valuable lessons to be learned.
Right.
This chapter is like a masterclass in how to create an entrepreneurial revolution.
Right.
Even if you have to adapt the strategies to your own unique situation.
So it's more about understanding the principles behind their success and then figuring out how to apply those principles in a way that makes sense for your context.
Precisely. It's like they've given us this incredible toolkit.
Right.
And now it's up to other nations to figure out which tools work best.
Wow.
For them.
This has been an eye-opening deep dive.
It has been.
We started talking about Jaffa oranges.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about revolutionizing entire economies.
It's pretty amazing.
It's incredible.
Isn't it? And it makes you think that even small nations can make a huge impact on the global stage.
But, you know, thinking about those oranges got me thinking about something else.
Oh, okay.
Okay, lay it on me.
So the chapter focuses on how Israel shifted from an economy based on agricultural exports, like those famous oranges.
From oranges to algorithm.
Exactly. But what if
we take that analogy a step further?
Okay.
What if the next big shift isn't about a specific industry, but about something much deeper?
I'm listening. What could be bigger than this tech revolution?
What if the true mark of future startup nations isn't just their technical skills, but their ability to constantly evolve and adapt?
So it's not just about
to be comfortable with uncertainty and even see it as an advantage?
What you produce, but how you approach innovation itself. It's about building a culture of resilience and flexibility.
You got it. It's about cultivating a national mindset that sees change not as a threat, but as the driving force of progress.
So that's the real legacy of Startup Nation.
That's what I think.
Yeah, it's a really powerful takeaway. It's like a challenge to all of us.
It is.
To think bigger and embrace the unknown.
Because the nations that can do that, the ones that can foster a culture of constant learning and adaptation, those are the ones
that will truly thrive in the 21st century.
Well, there you have it. Another fascinating
It has been.
Deep dive into the world of innovation. We've gone from citrus groves to cutting-edge tech.
Yeah.
And even glimpsed into the future of what it means to be a startup nation.
It's been a pleasure.
It has.
Exploring this with you.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me.
Of course.
On this journey. And until next time, keep learning.
Keep learning.
Keep questioning.
Keep questioning.
And keep diving deep.
Bye, everyone.